Hi, everybody. Coming up on 10 o'clock right now, I'm watching for the potential of a strong hurricane developing later today and on Monday and making landfall in Florida on Tuesday. This has the potential to become a serious storm for Florida and the Southeast as a whole. The one thing we need to watch is the speed. So far, it's gone slower than we would have liked, and that's causing it to get stronger. And some of the models here indicate we could be dealing with a very strong system. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel here. We'll have constant updates through this storm as it becomes Idalia later today and then makes landfall early next week. Let's unpack what I know right now. The high-resolution models are getting in on their wheelhouse where they are good at this type setup. And last year, we had a really good track from our high-resolution models with Ian. It started picking up on the storm's center of circulation and really performed well. The global models, like the European and the GFS, they are good at telling us what's happening in and around the storm as we're looking at it days in advance. Now that we're getting closer, we have access to those high-resolution models. So let's show you what I'm watching right now. One of the high-resolution models is showing a center of circulation already just east of the Yucatan Peninsula and then moving north. As you can see, it really blows this storm up. By Tuesday morning, we're dealing with a strong hurricane. This thing's really tightening up. It's a compact storm at this point, a fierce compact storm, and then it's moving north. Now, we only get out to about Tuesday evening with this model, but it shows a very strong hurricane with its sights set on the Big Bend region of Florida. That would be east of Panama City Beach and west of Tampa. That's where I would hone in my concerns right now. Family and friends listening right now, if you have concerns, family members, friends down toward Florida, please share this with them. Panama City to Tampa really needs to be watching this very closely as we could be dealing with a major hurricane. There is that potential. That is on the table here. The current track has a 90-mile-per-hour strong Cat 1 to a low Cat 2 being possible at landfall, but today's going to be key. Today's going to be key as the hurricane hunters are flying into this, and our models will have a very good idea what's going to happen in today's midday models and beyond. So let's show you what we're looking at right now with the severe threat, because we do have some concerns back home at what's happening right now. We're going to have a cold front move through today, and at the same time tomorrow, and then again on Tuesday, we're going to be watching for some of that moisture from the south to stream in. So locally in the western Carolinas, it's a hot day. We're talking low 80s already. Your 12-hour planner looks like this. Lots of sunshine, but some thunderstorms this afternoon. Not near as hot as yesterday's oven that we were in. We were close to 100 degrees. Let me show you storm chances because they'll start to crop up later on this afternoon, 6:37, 8 o'clock. Some of those storms could be heavy with lots of lightning. And then we'll go into our Monday, where we'll start off with some scattered downpours. And then especially by the afternoon and evening, we'll have additional thunderstorms beginning to move our way. So let's get back to Idalia forming right now. It is getting its act together. Now that the sun has come up, we can see the satellite. It's basically like looking down from space, and it gives us a really good idea of what's happening. And I can tell you, as I pause it on the last frame, I'll go to right now, I'm already seeing some very tall thunderheads. I mean, you can see them. Isn't this really neat? You can see one right there. I mean, this is high resolution. It doesn't get much better than this, folks. We didn't have this kind of technology 3, 4, 5 years ago. I mean, this is phenomenal. That's why we're able to save lives with technology. So there are some incredibly intense thunderstorms forming. The center of circulation, to me, is somewhere in here. And you got these thunderstorms bubbling up. So we certainly have this thing coming alive. And at its infancy on a storm like this, they start to come alive in the morning hours as the sun comes up. They're very diurnally driven at first because the thunderstorms need the sun, the fuel to get going. So we're going to watch that. Here's another way of looking at the satellite. This is through infrared. Basically, it's measuring the cloud temperatures. The higher the cloud, the stronger the storm. And you can see some of those I was highlighting there. Look at that one on the last frame. I mean, that is a fierce storm right there. very strong winds and rain. And here you are, another one, and you got another one. So there are some very strong storms bubbling up right now. As I turn on the wind streams, that gives us a good idea of where we're seeing a center of circulation. And yep, where I was kind of thinking right in there is where it looks like we've got a center of circulation with thunderstorms bubbling up on the east side like you would expect at this stage of the storm. So it's a tropical depression right now. Winds are at 35 miles per hour. But here's the deal, folks. It's moving the wrong way. It's moving southeast right now at 5 miles per hour. It's meandering, basically. Yesterday, it was stationary. Yesterday, first of all, it was moving at 10 miles per hour to the north. Then it became 3 miles per hour to the north. Then it became stationary at the 5 p.m. update. And now it's moving the wrong way. It's moving southeast. We don't want it to move southeast. Southeast is entering some extremely warm water, some extremely volatile water that would feed this storm and fuel it. So unfortunately, this is moving the wrong way and it's meandering. The longer it's in the Gulf and the Caribbean, the worse this is. Okay, I said this at the very beginning. Every hour that it's in the Gulf is too long. Is an hour that we don't need. All right, so we're going to likely see this thing strengthen today. It's eventually going to get on its way to where it's going to be strengthening to a Cat 1. That's what the National Hurricane Center has right now. We'll get a brand new track at the top of this hour, and we'll have a new update from them. But as you can see, it's going to be getting on its merry way beginning tomorrow, where it becomes a tropical storm later today or tomorrow, and then a stronger tropical storm, if not a hurricane, by Tuesday morning. And then going into Wednesday morning, it's getting close to landfall. So Tuesday night, Wednesday would be a landfall sometime in Florida, with impacts beginning much earlier than that because it would be right out to sea. So let's get right to some of these computer models. I want to show you these because the spaghetti models are in better agreement today. But again, Panama City Beach to Tampa. That's what I keep honing in on. Friends, family. I've got family from Panama City Beach to Sarasota. So we're dialed in. We're watching it for my family. But it looks like the models are honing in on somewhere around the Big Bend region of Florida, moving up through South Georgia near Brunswick or Savannah, and then moving back out into the water where it curves back out. That would limit impacts to cities like Charlotte, Greenville, and Atlanta. We would get breezy conditions. We would get rainy conditions, but it wouldn't be as significant, okay? The worst of it would be toward the east of the eye. And in that case, we're talking heavy rainfall and wind, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. However, if this thing comes in stronger, Cat 2, maybe Cat 3, which is some of the models are showing, it would pack an even greater punch inland for South Georgia and the Carolina coast. Okay, so we need to watch that very closely. Let me show you our three main computer models. I love to see this. I say that with a caveat here. I love to see the consistency in the models. I don't want to see a hurricane. I like to see that we're consistent in the models, because when I see the European, the Canadian, the American all in lockstep, we can help people specifically, okay? If they're all over the place, it's terrible. Some people aren't taking it seriously because they're not in it, and then all of a sudden they're back in it. So I like to see consistency in our models. We're able to help people here. And in this case, the Europeans a little bit to the east by maybe 30 miles, but you got Panama City Beach, east, and let me zoom in a little bit. So there's Panama City, and there's Tallahassee. So watching it very closely, Cross Point, Cedar Key. So Cedar Key to Panama City Beach would be maybe a more honed in look at where this thing might be going. And this is from our three global models, all right? Let me look a little bit deeper. This is kind of looking under the hood of meteorology here. I probably wouldn't show this on television because it's just too hard to explain in a short period of time on TV time, but here online I certainly can. This is the GFS model run 26 different times. The yellow is the main one, the operational one, the one you'll see, the one many have access to. But as a meteorologist, I look closely at the different runs of this, okay? And specifically speaking, what does it look like under the hood here? So when I see the models run 26 different times, we kind of try to trick the models. Is it going to start off a little bit stronger, a little bit weaker, a little bit to the east, a little bit to the west? And when we do that, if you end up at the same result, you can kind of count on that forecast, okay? So in this case, the models are kind of split all around this idea of Panama City Beach to Cedar Key, but somewhere in the middle. So I think that yellow operational run is pretty well placed, okay? It's telling me that, okay, it could go west, but most of the models are right there honed in on the Big Bend region up through Orangeburg, through Myrtle Beach by the time we get into Wednesday. Let me look at the European model. Same thing, but 51 runs of it. Very powerful. Again, Tampa Bay to Panama City, with the European operational model being right in the middle. So again, well placed by the European operational model. The more we get into this, the more consistency we get. But there you go, an idea like that. And again, that would still support the fact that the Western Carolinas would be on the fairer side of that, if you will. We would get some breezy conditions, we would get some rain, but it would not be as powerful as folks toward the south would see. All right, so what does this look like on radar? Well, here's the European solution. It shows heavy rainfall in the Gulf Tuesday night into Wednesday, becoming a hurricane, making landfall just east of Panama City as a hurricane, then moving into South Georgia. Look at the rain and the wind in the Western Carolinas, breezy and rainy, but not severe. And then as this thing moves toward the north and east, it's got some gusty winds for Savannah and Hilton Head, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. And then it moves quickly toward the north and east. By Thursday, it's pulling away from the area, and we've got breezy, cooler conditions, and that would set us up for a improving forecast for Labor Day weekend. Here's the GFS solution. Unfortunately, it is much stronger. It too has a Panama City Beach location, very similar to Michael's path, unfortunately, several years ago. This would be around Mexico City Beach or just east, and this would be a strong Cat 2, according to the GFS model. Winds would be over 100 miles per hour in this solution at landfall, and it's a little bit slower, too. It's showing midday Wednesday as a landfall. Then it moves north through Georgia, where Atlanta and Greenville would now be on a rainier solution, but not necessarily a severe solution. So if you're watching in Georgia and Atlanta, all the way through the Carolinas, you would still get wind and rain. It's just the more severe aspects would be on that east side, and I would have severe concerns for you folks in Savannah, east and southbound, okay? Watching that closely. Then it would continue to give us rain into Thursday, where Thursday would be quite rainy across the area. So the GFS solution has rain on Thursday for the Western Carolinas, while as the European has this thing pulling away on Thursday. And then Thursday night, it's just got some lingering showers. And then by Friday, all of the computer model solutions do have us drying out and improving. I do want to show you our high-resolution model. I started the broadcast off with this because we're kind of in that wheelhouse where the high-resolution models do well. And in this case, it's a little bit concerning to see basically all of our models that are high-resolution, the NAM, this in-house model that WIFF4 has special access to. It did really well, I'll say, with Ian this time last year, okay? So when I see the model telling me this, I've got to pay attention to it. In this case, it's showing a major hurricane, possibly strong Cat 2, Cat 3 by Tuesday at 3 p.m. You've got some squalls already moving into central Florida. That would be significant with some heavy rain, probably even some tornadoes at that point, from South Florida up through Central Florida, and then this shows it moving northeast bound, and I only get access to it to a certain point here. It's a high-resolution model, so it only goes out about 48 to 60 hours. Here we are, 2 a.m. Wednesday, and yep, that's as far as I get with it, but look at that, folks. The high-resolution model shows a very powerful hurricane heading toward the Big Bend region, and just based on its trajectory, what I was seeing with that, it was doing something like that, all right? Whew. All right, let's look at that same model, but with winds. It shows it really getting together. Let me back this up just a smidge, actually. It shows it really getting together today. You can see right now it's moving southeast. Model not really picking up. Well, I guess so. Basically stationary. Southeast is stationary, okay, because it's trying to move north, but it's being pulled southeast, which, again, is not good. It's sitting over an area that has an incredible amount of heat content. Here it is. It's moving north, north, north. Oh, it's starting to become a very strong hurricane. Those whites would be over 100-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving north. Here's Tuesday, getting some of those stronger winds to move into Sarasota, Tampa. Right here would be a problem for Tampa Bay. Storm surge for Fort Myers, Tampa Bay could be pretty significant here Tuesday night, especially if it coincides with high tide. And here we are where it gets to the end of it. Man. That's what we got to watch, folks. That's what and why we have to watch this very closely. Rainfall totals with this would be significant, but not as bad as it could be if this was a slow-moving storm. Since it's moving on its merry way, the flood threat is there with any landfalling system, and it's honestly one of the most dangerous things with a landfalling system, but it would be manageable. With that said, you're talking 4+ inches of rain. Please, folks, please. The biggest killer when it comes to tropical systems is flooding. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't put first responders in harm's way by trying to drive through standing water, flooding water. It's just too dangerous for all involved. Why am I concerned? Especially, well, folks, right now the storm sits right here and it's moving southeast. It's kind of doing a little jog, kind of like that. Then it gets pulled north and does something like that. So the track would have this going somewhere like this over extremely warm waters. I told you this beginning in June. We don't need to see any system of any magnitude get into this area of the tropics, and our guy or gal, Idalia, is going to do that. It's going to go right through some of the most volatile waters in the Atlantic there. All right, so here it is. It's out there. Anything else on the horizon? Not really. It looks like we're getting a bit of a reprieve here going into Labor Day weekend and the week after Labor Day. There's not much cooking at all in the tropics. Same thing with the GFS model, just not seeing it right now. So 2023 names, Idalia is next on our list, and we will be watching that closely. Folks, again, if you are watching right now and you appreciate my forecasting, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. My commitment to you is to keep you safe when it comes to severe weather, and in this case, I will give you constant updates. I've got a very supportive wife and kids that eat, sleep, and breathe weather too. This is when it matters, folks. So my commitment to you is to keep you safe, especially here in the Western Carolinas and Northeast Georgia, where we know that landfalling tropical systems can impact us, and it can be just as impactful, if not worse sometimes, than coastal areas because we get flooding. Our mountain ranges kind of stop those tropical systems in their tracks, and it can be really detrimental. So again, folks, I really appreciate you guys. We'll have another update here at 11 o'clock. I'm going to head off to church here in the next little bit. 2 o'clock, we get an intermediate update. 5 o'clock will be a biggie with a new track. Perella had you covered this morning. Griffin will be on today starting at 6 o'clock and then 11 o'clock. And then, of course, I'll be in this week keeping you up to date along the way. So, folks, I'm aggressive in my forecasting. I don't hold anything back. I'm very straightforward. I'm a straight shooter. I'll let you know when it's time to worry. And right now, it's to that point from Tampa Bay to Panama City Beach. If you have family, friends down there, or you're watching right now from there, now is the time to prepare. You need to be getting your kit in place. You need to be getting prepared to possibly leave if you're in those areas that could be impacted, because there is the potential here that we're 3 days out from a major hurricane making landfall in the United States. So again, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to let you know what I see. I do it responsibly. I don't hype anything, but my goal is to prepare you, not to scare you, so that you can make decisions to keep you and your family safe. All right, folks, much more to come later today. I will keep you posted.